Good morning on this lovely Sunday morning. I thought I should do another live Facebook link-up to talk about some of the more current political developments. As I've posted on Friday, I came to Cape Town to support my friend Louis Liebenberg, who has been arraigned for fake and false charges in front of the Equality Court. And over the weekend, I've also been preparing for the picket that the African Radical Economic Transformation Alliance will be staging in front of the National Parliament against the Section 194 impeachment vote of Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Well, I'm glad that the first part of my mission turned out very well, because fortunately, the matter was dropped against Louis Liebenberg, because anyhow, it was a fake charge which wouldn't have held any water if it really had to be dealt with in the Equality Court, and it also fell outside the jurisdiction of the Equality Court here in Cape Town. Louis had brought a number of community leaders from Namaqualand, who really are the main people who lead the poor and deprived and exploited communities of Namaqualand against what has been done by De Beers and the big mining industries, preventing them from being able to share in the economy and in the mineral wealth of Namaqualand. It was obvious that the court and also the complainant from the Democratic Alliance was not ready to face their evidence, and therefore the matter was dropped. Now, during the last couple of days here in Cape Town, we've been preparing for the picket tomorrow, because it is critically important that one must register one's outrage with what is being done to Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Busisiwe Mkhwebane has by any measure been the most successful public protector that South Africa has had since the inception of our democracy in 1994. During the time that she served as public protector, she dealt expeditiously with all the cases that have been brought to her to be investigated. She also managed the finances of the Office of the Public Protector in a very exemplary fashion. In fact, for 3 years in a row, she managed to get an unqualified audit, which had never in the past with any of her predecessors been the case. But despite such clear competence and despite such diligence to serve the people of South Africa, she became the target of the monopoly capitalist establishment in this country. She became the target of Cyril Ramaphosa and his regime. I still maintain that the main reasons why she had been targeted in this vicious and very personal way was because of the ruling that she made with regards to the South African Reserve Bank and the clarion call that she made. In fact, the recommendations that she made, that the mandate of the South African Reserve Bank ought to be changed so that it will serve the people of this country, help to develop a growth economic strategy, and finally assist our nation to develop an economy that is meant to empower all the people of South Africa. And then, of course, there were also the investigations and the findings that she made about the CR17 finance campaign monies, and the way in which she recommended that those bank accounts and the information contained in them should be made public. These were, in the eyes and the minds of the big capitalist powers in South Africa and the imperialist powers, that continue to control our country to such a huge extent, cardinal sins. And that is why Advocate Mkhwebane had to be removed at all and every cost, to the ridiculous extent that now 17 days before her time, her period, her term of 7 years as public protector expires, she has to be arraigned in front of the National Assembly with an open vote, because yes, the Speaker of the National Assembly ruled that it will not be a secret ballot, despite the very, very compelling arguments that had been advanced by some of the progressive political parties, among them the ATM and the United Democratic Movement. Despite that, we will tomorrow have an open vote with a three-line whip having been announced by the African National Congress's Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula, which will force every member of Parliament to vote for the impeachment of Advocate Mkhwebane, at least every member of Parliament of the African National Congress. Now, this is an outrage. But of course, at the same time, that vote places a very clear, unequivocal challenge to any member of the African National Congress's contingent in Parliament who has a conscience. The real challenge for them is, are they going to be prepared to stiffen their backs, to show their mettle, and to vote against this farcical impeachment, this inquisition that had been staged against Advocate Mkhwebane? I'm on record to have made a call to all the ANC members of Parliament who have got dignity, who take their oath that they lay down to serve the people of the nation of South Africa serious, to stand up and openly vote against the impeachment of Advocate Mkhwebane. Anyone who fails to do so lacks integrity. It doesn't matter, and I repeat that again, it doesn't matter what the consequences for them personally will be, whether they've been threatened to lose their jobs, their income, their beautiful houses, their luxury cars, and all the goodies that go with being a member of Parliament. This is the time to stand up. This is the time to take the right decision. Now a line must be drawn in the sand, and Cyril Ramaphosa and those who have hollowed out all the institutions of state, our Section 9 institutions, our Public Protector's Office, the National Prosecuting Authority, the legal system in this country, the South African Reserve Bank, South African Revenue Service, etc., etc. Now is the time for these MPs to show their mettle, to stand up and say thus far and no further. So on behalf of Areta, I said on a number of public platforms that we will have absolutely no sympathy for any ANC member of Parliament, or for that matter, any member of Parliament, who vote in favour of this impeachment. And don't come and give us crocodile tears about how you had to do it because you needed to protect your job and your income. The time had come for you to be prepared to make sacrifices for the sake of the salvation of our nation. Let me now move to another sad event of the last couple of days, and that is the passing on of Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Areta issued a short but clear statement of condolences to the Buthelezi family and also to the Inkatha Freedom Party. That statement makes it clear that we have not forgotten the history in which Chief Buthelezi played such a central role. We do not deny the sad events that impacted so deeply and so tragically on a very large number of people in South Africa. It is evident, and I don't need to spell it out here, that the policy positions that the African Radical Economic Transformation Movement stands for and the history, the historical background where those policy positions come from are not in agreement with the political stance that Nkosi Buthelezi had taken over the long period of his active political life. But I still felt it was the right thing for Areta to issue a statement of condolence, to respect also the culture of the African people of our country, to respect the passing on of someone, and especially of a leader, such as Nkosi Buthelezi. Beyond that, we will not rewrite history. We will not disregard the pain that flowed from many of the positions, the very unacceptable, unfortunate political stances that Nkosi Buthelezi in his life had taken. And we will not try to rewrite history. That is never the way Areta will work. Let me also make it very clear that the African Radical Economic Transformation Alliance is going to go into the period of campaigning for the upcoming elections of 2024 on the basis of clear political ideology and principle. We have set out our 10-point plan to save our country, and we will continue to pursue that plan with integrity, and we will continue to make sure that ideology underpins all our actions and our beliefs. Over the last couple of days, we have launched a number of branches, among them also Ward 154 in Thokoza, and I'm hugely grateful to my fellow member of the National Working Board of Areta, Dr. Job Mogonedi, who had led us in the launch of a very significant and big branch, and who also inducted the committee, the leadership of that branch. We have taken a clear stand that Areta must address the needs and the pains of the people of our country. And under those circumstances, in Thokoza and in surroundings, Dr. Mogonedi had taken the lead in working together with other members of Areta to address the housing needs of some of our members who suffered terribly. There were 2 houses that burned down because of electric faults due to the constant load shedding that we have. Our members went and helped to build new houses for those families whose belongings were burned and their lives were devastated. Recently, there was another family who had a serious problem with a roof leaking of their house. And again, the members of Areta went and fixed that roof and made sure, as the raining season is coming now, that there will not be leaks into the house. This is the kind of practical things that Areta does in order to demonstrate our commitment to serve our people. So, I hear that there are other political parties who say that they want to challenge Areta with regards to the political positions that we take. I understand that they may want to also reach out to our communities. I've got absolutely no problem with that. But the challenge I would like to extend to every progressive political party is make sure that you are not built on drift sand. Make sure that you are not built on egos. Make sure that you are not built on the insistence that a particular individual must lead a party, but that you will be built on political ideology, on an ideology that is truly rooted in the progressive history of the liberation struggle in our country. And that ideology, we in Areta are absolutely convinced of, is radical economic transformation. And that is why, like a golden thread, every statement that we make, every policy document that we produce, every intention that we have in the way that we present ourselves to the communities that we reach out is built on clear steps on how to implement radical economic transformation. Areta is an ideologically driven party. It is not built on personalities. It is not built on bruised egos or individuals who believe that they are entitled to leadership positions. We will go into the upcoming 2024 elections with one intention, and one intention only: to present our ideology and to use that ideology of radical economic transformation in order to reach out to all other progressive parties, to take hands with them, and to say to our communities, let's build a minimum program of action for the implementation of radical economic transformation that will address land restitution, the nationalization of the South African Reserve Bank, the resources of our country to be put under state control, especially the large mines, and to keep our state-owned enterprises under government control and to build them out so that they will truly be able to create jobs and improve the lives of our people. So let me for a moment come back to what will be happening tomorrow in front of the Cape Town City Hall, where Parliament is now hosted after that devastating fire that gutted the parliamentary buildings. Areta, together with all progressive South Africans who's prepared to join us, will be staging a picket there in front of that building, the Cape Town City Hall that hosts Parliament, calling on every member of Parliament, and specifically on the members of Parliament of the African National Congress, not to betray the oath that they've laid down, not to betray their own being as representatives of the people of this country, and to vote against that farcical, terribly vindictive Section 194 impeachment vote. We will watch what is happening in Parliament. And those MPs who vote in favor of that impeachment will come out of Parliament, and we will be there. We will look them straight in the eye. They will have to walk their walk of shame, because truly anyone who votes for this impeachment, who does so tomorrow, should be deeply ashamed of themselves. They must be called out, and they must be shamed in the public domain. We will have that picket in front of Parliament, And we will also, in Pretoria, have a picket, another Areta picket, in front of the national head office of the Public Protector. We thought we should give an opportunity to members and supporters of Areta and all progressive South Africans to be close to the places where they live, where they can move from, be able to stage their outrage about what is being done. So those two pickets will take place. And I make this morning a strong and clarion call to all concerned South Africans to join us at those pickets, to support Areta in calling for that impeachment vote, not just to fail, but in fact that it should never have been tabled in Parliament. Because this impeachment is not just about the individual, very meritorious as she is, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, but it is about the destruction of all our state organs, all our institutions of state, the destruction of those state organs for the sake of the protection of one man and the mafia gang around him, Cyril Ramaphosa. And therefore, we have to resist it. We have to stop it. Because going along this route any further, we will be pushed across the precipice. Our country, which is already in the category of a failed state, will be truly a banana republic. All our legal and our government institutions will be destroyed. And we will be governed by a fascist, dictatorial, infused regime by monopoly capitalism. This is not what I and many other liberation fighters fought for. We will not allow it to happen. We will fight it to the hilt. No matter how much the price will be, no matter how big the challenges that we have to face, we will continue to fight. And the pickets that we will be staging tomorrow, there in front of Parliament and at the head office of the Public Protector, is a further announcement, a further clear indication from Areta that we will not cower. We will not allow ourselves to be silenced. For us, the struggle continues. A luta continua. And with those words, I conclude today's live Facebook link-up. But let me do one last thing, and that is to invite everyone who's watching this Facebook live link-up to join us tonight at 5 o'clock on the In My Crosshairs X space, where tonight I will be talking to the leaders of Namakwaland, together also with businessman Louis Liebenberg, who has made a huge contribution to work for the sharing of the mineral wealth of Namakwaland for the people of Namakwaland, and especially to ensure that it is possible for the miners, the small miners, those who are not part of the big conglomerate of De Beers and others, that those will be able to share in the wealth of Namakwaland. And of course, this is symbolic of the message that needs to be conveyed, not just in Namakwaland, but throughout our country. So it promises to be a very interesting, exciting In My Crosshairs X space. And we invite all of you to participate. As I've already said, a luta continua.